This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and we're so excited to have you here today. I want to welcome especially our new audience members. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, I invite you to stick around and watch the whole show. We've got some very inspiring stories to share with you today, and I really hope you'll stick around and watch. We've got every episode, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're talking to change makers who are making a difference in the world. And most often, they're raising capital from the crowd and they're doing something that you can join and participate in and profit from. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. Today's guest is Alejandro Medina. He is the entrepreneur and chef behind Bibi Ji's. So this is going to be a fun conversation. You don't want to miss this. Alejandro, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Devin. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for making time for us. This is going to be such a fun conversation. Tell us about Bibi Ji's.
So Bibi Ji is the Hindu term of endearment for a female that you respect in your life. So it's always been this homage to, my grandmother, my mentor's grandmother. And it stemmed from my mentor, who is born and raised in Kolkata in India. And he's been my mentor in wine for over the last decade. And this is kind of a project that we did for him to really cook recipes that his grandmother and mother cooked as a kid. And for me to have kind of this full-fledged concept with an entirely new natural wine list that focuses on very clean wines, because it's always been, kind of dubbed that Indian food only works with beer. And we've really honed in to find the most authentic recipes we can find when we go to India, and make those all with local ingredients and our wonderful microclimate and the bounty that it gives us in Santa Barbara. And it's just been we've been going on about 6 years, or we just turned 7, my apologies. And it's been a beautiful ride, although there's ups and downs, but it really is, the homage to our mothers, to our grandmothers, and also to our community, of really being able to provide a unique dining experience with a full-fledged cellar that, you wouldn't see in a city as small as Santa Barbara. Our wine program focuses on very small producers. So
that's great. Now, I'm really curious about your reference to natural wines. I confess I'm not a wine drinker. What is the difference between a natural wine and the broader market for wines?
So conventional wines are often, they're allowed to use many additives, and those are all approved by the TTB. So natural wines has been a thing since the 60s and even before that. But it's wines that are raised or fermented with natural yeast, so no addition of yeast. And there are minimal additions of sometimes, most often, no sulfur. The wines are not filtered, and farmed by farmers who actually make the wine, and to make a very clean product. So we often use that term of it's fermented grapes in a glass bottle with a cork, because that's all it is. But they are very different in style, but there are some that are very true to an old world style of winemaking. And it's most importantly about, people care so much about where their food comes from and what they're eating, but we often feel sometimes that it's overlooked about what they're drinking. And that is our purpose, to provide very rare wines that are found from all over the world, producers that are oftentimes my friends that we go and visit and bring wines back specifically for the restaurant.
That's great. It's a fascinating thing. I think one aspect of your work focuses on how the food and wine, the grapes, are grown. You focus on sourcing from regenerative farmers. Tell us about why that's important to you.
Well, I'm here to do my best part that I can for future generations, and giving back to the land in any way that we can. So a lot of regenerative tactics involve, one in most particular, not tilling the rows in between your vines or not tilling the grounds, which releases all of these natural gases that are very important for the growth and for soil. These are things that, you can't, in most cases, they're very hard to mass produce because there is such an attention to detail to the farming. This is organic plus plus plus, also, most often biodynamic. And so we really, really care about what's done to the land rather than what type of a product we can get. So that's why I say, some of these producers, most of these producers are my friends. I go and visit them all over Europe, and really just to see with my own eyes that the land is being treated just as special as the finished product is in the wine. So it's something that's very famous, popular, that's caught on over the last few years. But when we started this about 8 years ago, it was not as big as a focus as it is today. And it's very important. One thing I can tell you about with wine, and quickly, there's a lot of cover crop that grows in California, often peas and pea shoots and all these delicious things that are edible. And people will often spray these, conventional wineries will spray them with pesticides to clear these out. We actually work with cover crops and harvest them from local farmers in our area and cook with them, just as kind of a very low, almost an elimination of waste in any way that we can. But that's, the importance of that.
Yeah, that's really cool, Alejandro. I think it is just the epitome of being strategic about the food, to utilize something that could otherwise be wasted, to keep the soil protected, because that's sequesters carbon naturally. Regenerative agriculture has the potential to really be a critical part of climate solutions. So I applaud you for utilizing that so strategically in your restaurant. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the menu at Bibi Ji?
So the menu is composed of old recipes from Calcutta, from my mentor Rajat Par's mother and grandmother. And we cook those in the same way they have taught us, but incorporating all of this wonderful bounty of produce. We focus a lot on our, one of our specialty sections is our kebab section that comes from our tandoor. We run 2 large tandoors in the oven, or in the kitchen, and we really have expanded that in our new location to bring more authentic style of food, and keeping it true to the origin, but using what's around us.
That's great. Now, what is your you're raising capital at the moment on SMBX? I think unless something changes, the you'll be done with the raise before this airs. But what are you hoping to accomplish with the funds you raise on SMBX?
So last year we took on a massive project, moving my restaurant of 6 years to a new location. This required a full gutting and rebuilding of an older building. As we all know, in construction, things don't always stay on time or on course. So it really is to, obviously to grow our business, and to kind of reevaluate things with some of our existing construction loans, and also to grow our team as we go into this busy season. We're almost double in size, which is almost double the amount of staff that we have working. And the working capital is just going to continue to help us to grow, but also to restructure some things and continue to move forward as we gear up for the busy season in our new home.
That's great. Well, SMBX is a great platform, and I'd love to invest there, and I hope lots of people will be supporting your campaign. Alejandro, tell us about how you got started in this business. You hinted that you were early at looking at things like the manner of agriculture and the natural wines, that you were approaching that at an innovative moment in time. What brought you to that? Was it just the family connection? How did you get there?
Well, it was the combination of a few things. Growing up in wine, I've been working in wine for, almost the last decade and a half. I started in wine unbeknownst when I was in junior college, working as a busboy in a restaurant, and it grew to me working for a small winery in Santa Barbara County. And then that really led to me understanding wines that I loved and what these wines, their composition was like, the flavor profiles. And I started noticing that these producers, one of them being Raj Par, my mentor, was making wines like they did in the old world, in the old days, in the old world, with, whole cluster fermentation or no sulfur additions to the wine, which really tends to block wine. And also making things, picking them very early to keep higher acidity and lower alcohol. And it really is just showcasing the love that's put into the farm and to the vines. And it's an exceptional way to drink wine, but not only drink it, to eat, to pair with it, to spend time with friends, knowing that you're drinking an honest piece of art from someone from around the world, wherever that place may be.
That's brilliant. I've never thought about wine as art, but especially the way you describe it, I see how it is an art form. And I commend you for celebrating that and encouraging, the natural wine industry and for supporting regenerative agriculture. That's wonderful. Listen, we're going to take a quick break here, Alejandro. So we'll come right back. But I'm here today, folks, with Alejandro Medina. He's the founder of Bibi Ji restaurant in Santa Barbara. It's a great Indian restaurant that serves natural wines and focuses on sourcing from regenerative farms. And we're just thrilled. They're raising capital on SMBX at the moment, although that campaign may end before we air this. In any case, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears to talk to Alejandro about his superpower. Stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding, the book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savikas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy.
SuperCrowd LA is the must-attend conference for impact investors, social entrepreneurs, and community builders. Learn from experts who've raised millions, including Jason Fishman of DNA, Sarah Hardwick of The Crowd, and Doug Wilmore of WorldTree. Plus, a live pitch with top investment opportunities. Early bird pricing ends soon.
Struggling to raise capital for your business? Unlock the power of the crowd with AI. My free guide, Crowdfunding Made Simple, walks you through every step to success. Get funded smarter, faster. Scan the QR code now for your free download.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Alejandro Medina, founder of Bibi Ji, a restaurant in Santa Barbara who's raising capital on SMBX at the moment. We've just had a great conversation about regenerative agricultural, natural wine and the cuisine at his restaurant. But we're going to shift gears now to talk to Alejandro on a more personal level about his superpower. So stick around. Alejandro, you're an impressive guy. And my sense is that you're also a fun guy. You enjoy what you're doing, is my impression. And I commend you for that. What's the old adage? If you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And
That's the goal.
I sense that with you. But Alejandro, what is your superpower?
I think, one thing that I'm very proud of is just the interaction that I'm able to have with people all over the world. I'm a first generation Bolivian American. My father's family still lives here. There's a lot of poverty that kind of has really shaped who I am as a person when it comes to being grateful to be in the United States and do what I'm able to do. But for me, it's really about bringing people together, kind of forgetting what's going on in the world, just for that moment in time that, we're having a meal or we're enjoying a bottle of wine, and just really create that connection and honor it as best as I can. Because I love people, all types of people. And, we all make mistakes. We all have our, wrongs that we've done. But I believe that, that you're able to still grow. And for me, that's with dining, that's with hospitality. I don't consider ourselves just a restaurant that you come into. I consider a place where all my friends can come and where all people, anyone supporting the restaurant can come in and have dinner and enjoy a meal. And, 5 nights a week, I'm working the floor. And that is to see these people because I want to, engage with them and remind them that our connection is very important. And so I feel that, it comes with just the constant open-mindedness of meeting new people or trying new things, trying new foods. Traveling is very, very important. But my whole goal is to bring that back to my city and to my loved ones and those that are very close to me. And it comes full circle, with food and wine. I don't look at one or the other. I look at a bottle of wine as an extension of the table, where the table has friends, the table may be full of family. And the highlight for me not is to, try, put this wine in your face. It's how do we do this harmoniously and really create an experience that we can share with each other.
That's brilliant. I love that approach, and I appreciate you. As you think about your superpower, can you think of a specific event and a specific story or anecdote that you could share with us to illustrate your superpower?
I would say, I kind of want to steer away from something in the restaurant, but I mean, that's where my life is based, pretty much. But I'm able to, I really love to give back as much as I can to communities, to certain people, to certain charities. And, I may not have much, but I'm able to give what I have. And I think that my appreciation for humans in general is something that I always try to get better at. But I would say, in my home country of Bolivia, I started at a young age donating clothes to our local village that was by our ranch, and just really understanding that if you give back and you stay honest and true to yourself, that good things will happen. I've had some ups and downs over the last few years in the restaurant with different partners that we had to buy out. And at the end of the day, I still show up at 5 p.m. with the same love that I have, no matter how bad the day was. It's really just walking into a room and kind of just letting everything go and really letting myself shine in that ways. Could be with communication or with interaction. But I think, there's been many times in the restaurant where it's just things just really come close to my heart. And most times it's even strangers that I'm talking with, so I would say, really just excelling in my community as being a better person and an honest person. And there's so many ways that it happens, but starting with myself is the most important part, and keeping my family close. So.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate your focus on family. It's such an important part of who you are, your mother's ancestry, your father's ancestry. You've talked about both. That's really inspiring. If you were to give us some advice, and I imagine that running a business, you're frequently coaching people formally and informally. How would you coach us to develop your superpower, to be a little more like Alejandro Medina? How do we do that?
You have to eat so many different things. You have to try so many different wines. You have to really embrace culture and whatever that may be. I look at Santa Barbara as almost a melting pot for many cultures because of our university there. A lot of people don't leave after they graduate because they find a job or they love Santa Barbara so much. And for me, it's embracing all cultures and walks of life, whether some have it, hard off or some have it well off. At the end of the day, we're human beings. And to me, it's really, really being respectful of all walks and ways of life. And that comes, like I said, as much as I can travel, I do it, but also just listening, reading books about your favorite regions of wine, or honing in on something you really like and continue to learn. You can't stop learning. Wine and food is a never-ending book, and I've been reading it for over 10 years, and I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way through. So I have so much more to learn, and I'm always open-minded about that. Being hard-headed is the worst. So it's keep your mind open and keep your heart open, and don't be scared to try new things.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about Santa Barbara and the great community that it is and how you're contributing to it. And I can see that your love of the community is very much like your love of family. It's genuine and it's authentic. I commend you for that. Santa Barbara is really one of the most, just delightful places I've ever visited. What are some of the things you love most about Santa Barbara?
I love, in a selfish way, I love the weather. It just is pretty much always 70 degrees, 75 degrees. It's a great climate for me. But also that my mother was raised there, and I've been there and going back and forth from there my entire life. Even in college, I would come back all the time. And it's just such a special place. There's so many wonderful people there. And, just like I said earlier, just really nurturing that mixture of culture and being there. I love the farming. There's so many farmers that work really hard to bring produce into our restaurant. That's, the most, I would say the furthest we source produce from is about 45 miles away from the restaurant. We sit right in front of the Pacific Ocean, right in front of a major harbor, or in front of our harbor, which is a major spot for sea urchin that's always exported to Asia. And there's so many special things there that it's just home for me, and it always will be.
That's fantastic. Well, as we wrap up now, I wonder if you would just take a minute and tell people how to find the restaurant, maybe find it online, how to follow you online, if there's a way. How can people connect with you, and how can they learn more about Bibi Ji?
Well, first and foremost, I would say our website, bbgsb.com. That's SB like Santa Barbara. I would also say, we're very, we like to do as much educational stuff as we can on our Instagram. That's also going to be at bbgsb. And under Alejandro, I run, several different other companies that are all near and dear to my heart. And my Instagram is Alejandro for short. It's kind of the joke on when people ask me, what's your nickname? And I always just say it's Alejandro. So that's kind of what that comes from. But really, we're located in the Arts District of Santa Barbara, right in front of the historic Granada Theater, which just celebrated its 100th year anniversary. We are surrounded by 2 theaters, beautiful museums, and it really is an adventure to come and spend a day. You can spend a whole day in that 4-block radius and really, really enjoy the history and the culture of Santa Barbara.
That's great. That's great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be a guest on the show, Alejandro. And we want to wish you every success in completing a successful financing round with SMBX. And we want to wish you well in continuing to grow and build your business and in making the world a better place, with a little bit of more regenerative agriculture. So thank you for all you're doing. We wish you well.
Thank you so much, Devin. It was a pleasure being here, and I thank you so much for having me.
All righty now. Let's do some good.